Nothing as professional as us. Nothing like professionalism. This ain't nothing like professionalism. Okay, so...
Yeah, we are not professionals, as you can tell.
As you can tell. So anyway, Chris, I understand you got something you wanted to talk about, and then I got something I want to talk about, and then we got something we're going to talk about. But what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about?
Well, first of all, we should give it up to our girl, Betty White, who's now 98. She turned 98 last week.
Mayor of Hollywood since 1955, I noticed the other day.
Mayor of Hollywood?
She is the honorary mayor of Hollywood, and boy, is she the honorary mayor of Hollywood. But anyway.
Awesome,
so yes.
sassy. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But also, I have, let's see, Disney is now changing the logo on Fox.
Get the Fox out.
Yep, get the Fox out.
That's the thing.
Who let the Fox out?
Well, they don't want to be connected to Fox News Channel because, oh my God, they report news. But not the right type of news, not the right flavor of news. Therefore,
yeah, is it still going to be Fox News?
It's still Fox News because that's a different company. Rupert Murdoch still owns that part of Fox. Yeah. So he keeps the Fox name. They want the 20th century part of it.
Yeah, so from now on, any Fox movie that comes out is just going to be called 20th Century. That's it.
Well, it's been a long time since there's been since 20th Century has put out a film under the banner 20th Century, but hey, Disney can now finally, I don't know if they're actually going to go back to it or not, but back in the 70s, 80s, when they were experimenting with like Tron and the Black Hole, they were getting a lot of flack because those weren't really family films, and Disney was known as a family entertainment thing, so that's why they came up with Touchstone films. That's where 3 Men and a Baby and Who Framed Roger Rabbit and a whole bunch of PG and PG-13 and R-rated films came from.
I knew it. I knew it. Because when at first I thought it was crazy, but I remember, like, I've seen rated R movies and PG-13 movies, and at the end it would say Disney, or
on Disney Records,
Disney, or whatever it is called.
Yeah, it's from Buena Vista Distribution.
That's
Disney's.
what it is.
That's how Disney distributes their films and stuff. Yeah.
So I was like, when they switched over to doing rated R.
That's why, because Disney at the time was known strictly as a kids company, and it'd be like Nickelodeon doing Last Tango in Paris. It's not a Nickelodeon film. Back then, Tron was not a Disney film, although Tron did a lot of the groundbreaking CGI stuff.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for Tron, there would be no Pixar. Or Pixar would have been delayed considerably. So anyway, so what else were you going to say? Betty White's 98. So now we got on to 20th century and Foxed up, yeah.
Alright, so this one's a pretty biggie.
It's a biggie.
It's a biggie to me. It's a biggie to me.
It's a biggie.
But apparently China has shut down 70,000...
Every theater in China is shut down.
Yes.
Because of coronavirus. I didn't think there would be enough limes in China for all that coronavirus.
You know, I would have to say, that's not the first time I heard that joke.
Won't be the last either. Anyway.
That was horrible. But yes,
but I mean, it felt so right.
But well, I was reading though that this was China, the Chinese New Year or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And apparently, this is when all the big box office movies hit over there. And this is also like, you know, when we release a movie, it's big over here, but it brings most of the money from overseas. And it might hurt the box office this year because of all this, unless the virus goes away. Just like that. I don't know.
I can only imagine where this virus is coming from. It's starting up in China and it's kicking China's butt. This is what happens when you put too many eggs in a single basket, guys. This is why the old cliche about eggs in the basket is there. Don't lean, especially in China. Again, here on Geeking Out, over on the podcast, I've complained about China, and I don't understand why Westerners are so determined that they're going to get rich in China, because you can't take the money out. You can only extract what the Chinese government lets you extract, because you cannot convert Chinese yuan to other monetary units, especially U.S. dollars in particular.
Yeah.
Because then somebody else would be in control of what their yuan is worth, which is zero. But hey, when you've started building on the back of slave labor, go ask Volkswagen and U.S. Cotton about that, and the U.S. sugar industry for that matter. But anyway,
Sugar.
anyway, politics off. You got anything else, or is that all you got?
No, that's all I got.
Nope.
I mean, that was just a big one that I was kind of worried about.
Okay. I want to talk about something. I want to talk about the Baby Data show. Star Trek Picard struck this past Thursday. The Baby Data show. Okay. Star Trek Picard popped up on CBS All Access this past Thursday. We're recording this on Sunday, January 26th, I think. According to the little thing down there, it's the 26th. Okay. And still haven't been able... Shows you how tech savvy I am anymore. I can't figure out how to remove the timestamp down the bottom of our YouTube videos. But anyway,
We're professionals.
we're professionals, damn it. Anyway, so Star Trek Picard has hit, and I have not seen it.
I have not either.
Now, understand, I'm a Star Trek guy. Okay, I'm not a Wars guy. I'm a Trek guy. But it is really, really getting hard to... You can be jilted by a lover once, and you can forgive, okay? When you're jilted by a lover twice, then it becomes a little bit harder. And the more times you get jilted, the harder it is to forgive and embrace them back. Star Trek Picard, from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, all this stuff, I've been waiting to see what the reaction would be. Is it worth making the effort to get involved in it? But you got to remember, I have sat through Star Trek V, The Undiscovered Country. I've sat through the Star Trek The Next Generation movies. I sat through Deep Space Nine, which wasn't as bad. Voyager, which was that bad. Enterprise, which was horrid. The J.J. Abrams lens flare-averse, the Kelvin timeline, a.k.a., and all this other stuff. And I cannot bring myself to actually pull the trigger and get a CBS All Access subscription just to see this. Now, if I'm not pulling the trigger to go see Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone reboot to subscribe to CBS All Access, that should give you an idea, because I adore Twilight Zone. Okay, most of the there were some clunkers, especially in the remakes. It's just been diminishing returns for the Twilight Zone franchise since Rod Serling's death. But I cannot, for the life of me, bring myself to forgive the Star Trek franchise enough to see what Picard is about.
I totally agree. I 100% agree. I want to watch it so badly because it is Picard. And even though I love the original Star Trek, the Star Trek generation is where I grew up watching and loved it because it was so smart, so clever, and just really kept you hooked on even all the stupid stuff that was going on. It really kept you hooked. I could not wait to watch this, except I have enough subscriptions as it is that I don't know if I want to shed a little bit more on this just to watch it.
It doesn't seem like it's much, because it's like $6 for a CBS All Access subscription.
Yeah,
okay?
but when you add it with all the other stuff...
There you go. When you already have a half dozen, each one, remember, Netflix is $15. You got 5 or 6 for Disney and 5 for Acorn. Like right now I'm paying 5 for Acorn, I'm paying 6 for BritBox, 6 for Disney. Don't pay Hulu or Netflix anymore, but I'm already paying like $70 a month just for the internet to handle the streaming.
Yep.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to convince me that it's worth paying for. So CBS All Access, on one hand, it's got that going against it. The Trek franchise in particular, and this is what I'm really going to get into. I don't think we're going to be doing like a half dozen videos every week like we usually do. We'll just wrap it all into one episode, get it out there, because trust me, you don't want to know what happened last week. Why we did not post a video last week. You don't want to know. This one has an idea, and he doesn't. We really don't want to revisit that. Let's just say I'm working on a new band. Just a quick sidetrack here. I am working on putting together a band. I'm going to call them the Dirty Squirts. Yes.
Okay, so
I do need you to work with. Need you to work with Nikki in her art studio. We need to come up with like an album cover. I'm working on song titles. So far, the only song I've come up with is "The Only Black Man in Maine," but it's
oh my God!
I'm going to put together about 12 of these, and then I'm going to release the album. I'll do like a promotional T-shirt.
Are you actually going to? You going to sing and everything?
No. What in the world would I do that? The Grammys are tonight, by the way, and you see exactly how much we care. But anyway, no. I'm not going to record a note. You think I know how to write music, do musical notations? What do I look like, your secretary?
I'm not doing no. I don't know nothing about music. I know movies. I don't know music.
Did I look like Dolly Parton on any of the four corners of the social media verse? No.
You see people what I got to deal with here.
You know. He doesn't know. But anyway. So anyway, getting away from the Dirty Squirts. The Dirty Squirts, believe it or not, now that we actually have the podcast up and running, I'm looking at a cafe press store. For who, what, where?
What's that?
A cafe press store. This is where we'll be able to offer things like mugs and T-shirts and miscellaneous little things with moronic sayings we come up with and esoteric references.
So in other words, we are going to have merchandise to sell.
Merch, yes. We would actually be offering merch if we can get more than 4 people to watch this episode. But that's down the road. Bear with me. I still got to figure out how to do this. But if we can get Nikki together, we need to get together with Nikki, and we need to start coming up with things because she knows how to do the design work. Especially, she probably knows Photoshop better than I do.
Nikki, Mo, I know a few.
We need to start tapping our people and giving them a sweet taste of that filthy, filthy lucre that all the millions of dollars we're getting from the
Don't gross them out.
Google, our Google slave drivers. But anyway, what were we talking about before I got into the Dirty Squirts? I got into the Dirty Squirts.
I don't know.
Trek. The Star Trek. Speaking of Dirty Squirts, the Star Trek franchise.
I don't know.
Since. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Where did Star Trek start? Okay, where did the entire franchise start? Think about this. Where did the Star Trek franchise start? What was the first show, the first movie? What was the first Star Trek anything that came out?
Well, it was the one with William Shatner.
Yes, the original series came out in 1966. Now.
And there was Star Trek Generation.
Now, hold on, wait a minute. Star Trek, the original series, created by Gene Roddenberry, but really fleshed out by his writers like D.C. Fontana, was huge in developing that. And then you had the Next Generation about roughly 15, 20 years later. That's about 86, 87. Somebody will correct me. But you had the Next Generation. Roddenberry was still sticking around. And as long as Roddenberry was sticking around, what was the outlook for the Star Trek universe? Was it positive or negative?
Positive.
The universe itself, the stories, were they more of a hopeful nature or more of a depressive nature? Hopeful. When Gene Roddenberry died back during the run of the Next Generation, he I'll take it back. When Gene Roddenberry, his involvement with Trek pretty much wrapped with the Next Generation. I'll say that because my brain's not functioning right. What show came after The Next Generation? When The Next Generation went off the air, it was the first thing that came on. Oh,
was it Deep Space Nine?
It was Deep Space Nine. What was the whole idea of Deep Space Nine? What was it set on?
Honestly, I can't even remember.
Deep Space Nine was set on a star base located in deep space, starbase number 9, off in this quadrant, and it was run by Benjamin Sisko, Hawk, the Avery Brooks. Not that. Don't go correct me or anything yet. Okay. So anyway, Trek started going down a darker path with that. You started seeing inklings of it in the movies before that. Right around the time of The Next Generation, you had Star Trek II, I think, is where things started going off the wheels. That was the Wrath of Khan. And the idea that Starfleet had this secret project called Genesis that could create life from dead rock, basically. Yeah. Okay? So, which was not really a conspiracy, but it was kind of like a
far-fetched idea.
It's a far-fetched idea, especially for Starfleet, which until that point had always been kind of hopeful, kind of had a brighter view of the future, a little more optimistic, so to speak.
Yeah.
Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, Spock dies at the end of 2. And I would argue that was the beginning of the end for Trek. For me, anyway. Because Spock dies, his ashes go down to the Genesis planet. He's reborn because of the Genesis weapon. And the whole thing falls apart. So you go through Star Trek 4, which is great because it was back to being optimistic, but it was back in present day. And then from Star Trek 5 off, it was just crap. Okay? Because it was all about conspiracies within the Klingon Empire. It was about conspiracies within the Romulan Empire. It was about conspiracies here, conspiracies there. It was about Starfleet admirals who were not really following the Prime Directive that well. It was about just doing really rotten things, but supposedly for a good cause, but the causes get more and more dubious. So by the time we get to the Kelvin timeline, which is 2009 where the reboots happen, you look at it and you take a good long hard look at this, and suddenly it's all about what's hot and trendy this year. It's no longer about the timeless optimism of the original series. Here I am going to be accused of geezing on this. The optimism of the original series, the hope and change that was brought around with The Next Generation, that was completely gone. It was all about Spock and Uhura making out in a transporter room. That's what, to me, the Kelvin timeline was all about, and I wanted nothing to do with it. Although I still play the Star Trek pinball in the movie theater from time to time. But anyway,
yes.
This is why I'm not interested. It's taking me extra long to be convinced to give Picard a try. Because I have seen this franchise in the gutter for so long, I don't trust them not to drive right back into it at the first opportunity. And everything I've been reading up to here is that Picard is involved in some kind of conspiracy. It's why he's in the middle of a vineyard in France instead of out exploring space where he belongs. So, shall I tell you what I've learned about it so far? Because this is kind of spoilerific, but you want to hear this? I don't have that many details, but there's a reason I talked about the baby Data show. Data is dead, but there's this idea that you can resurrect Data from a single neuron. Okay, a single one of his positrons, actually, this positronic brain. A single circuit from his brain, you can bring Data back somehow.
I believe they already did that in an episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they did. But this time, he's been done using instead of like silicone and plastics and stuff, the synthetic the synthetic beings. It's been done biologically. And the result was twins, because for some reason, remember Data and Lore?
Yeah.
I don't know how much you remember.
His brother.
The twin brothers, right? Somehow when they cloned Data, somebody in Starfleet cloned Data, they wound up with twin girls. These girls are now both about 25 years old. The first episode, one of them's dead, or one of them dies, spoiler alert.
And then Picard?
Yes. And then the other one now is the sole survivor of Data. Somehow Picard finds out about it, and again, I'm hearing this third hand, so I don't know. So somehow Picard finds out about it and is determined to track her down and try to help her reclaim whatever it is Data's MacGuffin. I don't know. So that's what I'm hearing so far. Now, thinking about this, are you sold on seeing this show yet?
Okay. See, to me, for you it ended a long time ago. For me, I got to admit, after Star Trek Next Generation, nothing else really compelled to me. Like Deep Space Nine was okay because it had some humor. The rest of them just seemed to just be like boring nonsense. Especially when some of these are supposed to date back, or it's supposed to be way into the future, but yet their technology sucks. And that makes no sense, because it's like, what? This technology looks sucky compared to what they had in, well, supposedly back in the day. It's like, what the heck's going on here? But, so to me it stopped that generation. So with Picard, I was really intrigued, really want to watch it, because to me it starts off after that. Nothing else existed except for that. That's why I'm still intrigued. I still want to watch it, but I'll probably wait until the whole season comes out and see how it goes. And then I might even get the app.
Let me throw another spoiler out there. Remember what happened to the Romulans?
The Romulans.
Think it through. What happened to the home planet of the Romulans?
I know a lot of people out there is like, what?
If you ain't tracked, you're not going to keep up. The Romulans are one of the bad guys. They were essentially descendants of the Vulcans, but a lot more warrior and.
Didn't they make peace with the Romulans?
They sort of kind of tried, and then somebody blew up their home planet. So Picard goes out to try to rescue as many Romulans from the exploding planet as he can, and Starfleet orders him off. And Starfleet tells him to go pound space dust, and somehow he's involved in the rescue of roughly 900 million Romulans. And they all have to be relocated by Starfleet somewhere. Want to guess where they put them? So, let's see, as a storyteller, okay, you've always aspired to be a storyteller. You tell me, if you had 900 million Romulans, where would you put them in the Star Trek universe?
Honestly, I would put them on a planet somewhere, because there's a bunch of planets that they have discovered that can hold life, but there's nothing there.
That would make sense, right?
Yeah.
A new Remus, new Romulus, something like that, right? They put them on a Borg cube. A burnt-out Borg cube. An abandoned Borg cube. They put them all on there. 900 million Romulans on a Borg cube. This will end well.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, now understand, Borg cubes, for those of you who don't follow Trek, Borg cubes...
I hated Borgs.
The Borg have this very special place in Picard's heart and his cranium. The Borg have been living rent-free in Picard's head for about a quarter of a century now, at least.
They're a bunch of robots that makes no sense.
They have a centralized hive mind, okay? Their spaceships are cubes that are like thousands of miles across.
It's actually kind of cool.
It's a cool idea. It's one large weapon that they live on. Okay?
Yeah.
Why would you turn 900 million Romulans loose, no matter how, especially 900 million traumatized Romulans,
That's
loose on a planetary weapon? You want Now, quick, what is that in Star Wars? What do you call that? A star killer?
Yeah.
This is what drives me insane about Star Trek. Modern writers absolutely refuse to accept an optimistic point of view, and I can understand it. It's like reading nothing but traditional Archie comics. That's the only kind of comic book there is. That's what these writers are thinking. All comic books are Archie comics, where there's a punchline at the end. Everything's sunny and bright and all this other stuff. So if you want to do these guys, these modern writers want to do a modern Archie story. In order to get any modern writers, Archie has to give them a little more leeway. And the result, what did we get from Archie when we let modern writers have their way with the franchise?
It is now a teenage horror / you know what? I don't even know what the hell it is.
We get Riverdale. We get Riverdale for one. Okay.
Riverdale is a joke. I don't know why everybody loves this.
Before Riverdale, we got The Afterlife with Archie, which was actually a pretty decent book. I hate to admit it. What's his name? Roberto Aguirre Sierra, something like that. Sciarra, something like that. Whatever. He's the guy in charge of Archie Comics now, the creative side.
I think we should shed a little light on the subject.
Yeah. Is it getting dark? Anyway. I can't tell without my glasses on. I can't tell. But anyway.
It all of a sudden kind of just like the...
We had a cloud go over the sun, and suddenly couldn't see in here. Anyway, yeah, there goes the bright again.
Yeah, there it goes.
So anyway, professionalism, nothing like it, and this is nothing like it. So anyway, what were you saying about Archie?
To be honest, I never did care a damn about Archie at all. I never did. I thought it was just stupid.
That's precisely what other creators thought, and that's why Archie had been struggling. Archie was on the brink was really struggling financially. I'm not going to say they were on the brink of bankruptcy, but they had been struggling for years and years because they were doing licensed comics. All the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics from like the mid-'80s on were all Archie. All the Sonic the Hedgehog comics from like the 90s on were Archie. All these great comics were actually Archie comics, but nobody associated Archie with these licensed comics. It wasn't until they allowed some creators to start playing with the characters and updating them, we got the married life of Archie. It was Life with Veronica and Life with Betty, the married life. And he was married to... You had two alternate timelines, and the best part was, God bless them, every single one of the creators involved with this, but it was, the two timelines could actually talk to each other because of Dilton Doily. I don't know if you remember who Dilton Doily is, because you're probably not that familiar with Archie, but he's like the resident nerd. So he's like the science geek of the Archieverse. So, supposedly, The Married Life of Archie, The Afterlife with Archie, Riverdale, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, all of that is Dilton Doily's fault because he fractured the Archieverse when he peered back and saw...
And sadly, Chilling Adventures
saw the
of Sabrina,
chocolate shop back in 1941. Anyway.
The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is actually pretty damn good.
Come on, man, you know every poop's got a few nuggets of corn in it, right? Right? Am I right? Right? Yeah. Anyway.
There's a coffee mug right there.
Every poo's got some corn. But anyway.
Oh.
So anyway. And that's why I'm not ready to give Trek another chance yet. So, you got anything else you want to...
I love how just go on this huge rant and go off the rails and explain other things, and then goes back and be like, and that's why.
That's precisely why I'm not giving Picard a chance. But it's all the same thing. Writers today, creators today, for some reason, absolutely refuse to try these more traditional forms of storytelling because they think they're flawed or they've been overdone or go ahead.
I kind of actually see why they're trying to keep people interested by doing these things, because if you stop and think, Archie and Scooby-Doo are two things from years and years ago that are still going, and they have redone, retransitioned and stuff like that. And now you got Riverdale and Scooby-Doo, who still going on to this day, but they're more edgier, more darker, to keep people interested.
This, to me, is the greatest failing of the modern creator. Okay? Now, you go ahead. I'm going to put a little manifesto out there right now. If you have to go darker in order to tell an effective story, you're a bad storyteller. Yeah, I'm looking at you. If Scooby-Doo has to rip somebody's throat out in order to tell an effective Scooby-Doo story, you're a bad Scooby-Doo writer. Okay? You don't understand the character at all. You're completely pissing on the legacy of the character. Why are you doing Scooby-Doo? Do your own Great Dane. Okay? I guess Scooby-Doo's a Great Dane. Anyway.
I still haven't watched all of this Scooby-Doo stuff.
If you want to do your own freaking dark Star Trek story, go create your own sci-fi franchise. It worked for Joss Whedon. It's worked for Joss Whedon with Firefly. It worked with Babylon 5 and J. Michael Straczynski. They were able to do it. Of course, they were also both effective Trek storytellers at one point or another. J. Michael Straczynski especially. But if you're going to go off the reservation that far, stop dragging these beloved franchises with you. And as long as... Shoot. How can I explain this without just sounding like a... Well, no, it's too late. I already sound like an old windbag anyway. Studio executives are too busy snorting blow off a hooker's stomach to pay attention to what you're doing to the value of their franchises. Okay? And you know it, Mr. Creator Man, Miss Creator Girl. You know it.
Damn.
You know you're doing wrong. You know you're doing dirty to the people who are giving you a paycheck. That is these studios. These studios are stupid. Like I said, they're too busy sitting there squeezing the last bits of milk out of the dead cow. And you're just sitting there cutting off chunks of it for your own use. And spoiling it in the process.
Now, don't stop there. Go ahead. Drop it. Drop the mic. Drop it.
I'm going to say one more thing before I let this go, and then I'll let you wrap this up. Okay, I'm going to say one more thing. The only thing worse than what you guys are doing to these franchises, these darkenings, if you will, like you said, you were talking about the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Okay, stupid idea. It's a stupid idea on the surface of it. I wanted to hate it when I saw it. I wanted to despise it when I saw it. I actually read the books when they first came out, the comics. I read the first 3 issues, and I wanted to hate them because I had all 3 at once. And I was like, this is going to be a hate watch. I'm going to hate read these things. I'm going to hate this franchise. It violated every single thing I just talked about. What the importance of integrity of a project, the integrity of the writer, the integrity of the franchise, the integrity of the studio, the integrity of the relationship between the writer and the consumer of the writing. Okay, violated every one of those. But the first 3 issues of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina were a fascinating read because it took what was unique about the franchise and explored it from a different angle. He could have Roberto Aguirre-Sacara, I'm guessing is the name. He's the guy who developed The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. he could have done his own horror franchise and told the same story, but it wouldn't have had the same effect because of Sabrina, her reputation, and her relationship with her aunts, the witches, and her relationship with Salem. And there would never have been a Chilling Adventures of Sabrina if it wasn't for Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and what's-her-face who played her. If it hadn't been for that, all of that was necessary to more effectively tell the story of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, because Roberto Aguirre Sacara, I'm hoping I'm getting that right because it's like the third or fourth time I've said it, he is a good storyteller. He is telling a story effectively. He's told a story, and he's told the story well, and it's a story well told.
Yeah.
So, guess what? He did it right. The rest of you guys are screwing the hell out of it because you're being lazy writers. You're lazy. You're lazy. You're lazy. You're not untalented. You have all the talent in the world. J. Michael Straczynski can write some great stuff, but he can also write some putrid crap.
Yeah.
If he feels it's not up to his standards, go read One More Day. Spider-Man One More Day, and that'll tell you what J. Michael Straczynski can do. Or better yet, read Sin's Past. I know a lot of that falls on Joe Quesada, but JMS still was involved in it. Writers can be lazy, and I'm the laziest writer of all because I don't write. I should have been writing 40 years ago. I'm not writing anymore. I can recognize the laziness. I know what you're going through. Put it down before you destroy another franchise, before you destroy somebody else's beloved memory, just so you can score your paycheck and snort some more blow off a hooker's stomach. Think what you're doing. Are you telling an effective story, or are you collecting a paycheck? Because if you're collecting a paycheck, buddy, there's 500 storytellers out there who are looking for a chance to sincerely tell a good story, and you're wasting it. You're wasting their opportunity because you're in the right place at the right time with a bimbo named Sue and a line of Coke about that long. Okay? And that's all I got to say. Final thoughts?
I really enjoy, I honestly really enjoy what they did with the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, because, I mean, they took, like, that's why I'm so hooked, is because the writing of it is so darn good. It's like Harvey, that we know, the boyfriend who was a jock in the old TV show. And this one, he's not a jock, and has to work in the mine with his dad and brother. And this gives away one episode. Well, actually 2 episodes. But, like, there's an incident, and the whole town is really shaken over what happened at the mine. And Harvey loses his brother. His dad goes into this shock where he doesn't speak to no one. He's drunk all the time and whatever. Sabrina tries to help and figures the best way to help is use her powers to bring back his brother. And that was a bad idea, because he comes back as something else, and then they have to take business in their own hands, and it messes up that family a little bit more. But it's just so much good writing there that the way it's told, like, even though she has powers, but she has to learn how to not screw up, because if she screws up, a lot of bad stuff can happen. And it's just not just that storyline, but there's a bunch of other things that go on, and it's just perfect.
I have not kept up with Sabrina, especially, it's a what, Netflix?
Yeah.
So I don't keep up.
And that was
with
just the
Netflix
first
anymore.
season.
Okay, now hold on. This is actually a rehash of an old Archie line. Remember I was talking about Afterlife with Archie? Afterlife with Archie was a zombie book. Jughead was the king of the zombies. He was like Patient 1. Patient 0 was his dog Hot Dog. Was the original zombie. Okay? Now, you're rolling your eyes, but listen. The reason Hot Dog became the first zombie is because he was hit by a car driven by Reggie. Okay? Reggie Mantle. He's driving a car. He's not paying attention. He hits Hot Dog. Jughead sees Hot Dog and scoops him up and rushes to Sabrina because he knows Sabrina's a witch. Maybe she can save him. And she says, I'm sorry, he's dead. There's nothing I can do. And of course, Jughead's grieving, so Sabrina doesn't want to see Jughead's heart broken like this. So she goes ahead and tries to resurrect Hot Dog. And Hot Dog does not come back right. But Jughead can't see it because he loves Hot Dog. He loves his dog. So he sits there and hugs the dog bites him. And that makes Jughead patient 0. And their very first victim is Sabrina. She's eaten by the two of them completely. There's nothing left of Sabrina. She's the very first victim.
What the heck is going on?
That was the start of Afterlife with Archie. What you did, what you're talking about with Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, is take that exact same situation and look at it from the other side. Okay? Now, how does Sabrina deal with the consequences of what she's done? She did something wrong. That's the mark of an effective storyteller.
Right.
Same situation, exact same plot. 2 different directions because you got 2 good writers. Okay? So now you've got Jughead and Hot Dog basically leading a parade of zombies through Riverdale, which is frickin' hilariously awesome in its own right because Riverdale wasn't a thing yet. Nobody thought of Archie as anything but cute and innocent, except maybe for the teenage girls who had been reading The Married Life and stuff. Which I have to admit was actually a good read. I'm not a teenage girl, but it was actually a good read.
You know, the bad part is Riverdale already had 1 season already out of its show.
Mm-hmm.
And I never watched it because to me it looked like one of those stupid teenage...
It's one of those CW dramas.
Yeah. And I had no interest in it until somebody said that it was an Archie thing. And I'm like, what?
That's how you do it right. This is why I was talking about. This is why you do it right, okay? Because you could have come up with another generic teen drama, and the CW is full of them.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, did you see that CW actually renewed all of their series? Every one of their series has been renewed.
I still have not watched any one of them this week. I have not watched not one episode this week because I knew that this was a brand new start with all of them. And I'm like, God, I'm going to have to watch all of them to see how it feels. It might actually change it.
TLDR version, there's one Earth and all of DC heroes are on it like it should have been to begin with. Okay, back to what I was talking about.
Yes.
So, we're talking about Sabrina and the effective storytelling. Well, as I was talking about, there are a lot of writers who use existing franchises as a lazy way to tell their story.
Yeah.
Okay, they want to tell their story. And then every once in a while, far less often, you get a writer who comes up with a great story, but it needs that extra little twist, that extra little appeal to get people's attention. Okay, Riverdale, you didn't give a crap about Riverdale because Riverdale means nothing to you. And then you found out it was Archie.
And I still don't care.
And you still don't care, but it actually caught your attention.
Yeah, it made me go, what?
I'm not saying Riverdale's great writing by any stretch of the imagination, but it has its fans. It's like the modern day Dallas or Dynasty is what it is.
It's huge.
But if it hadn't been for Riverdale, would Netflix have done The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina? Of course not. No, they wouldn't have because Netflix executives wouldn't have known what in the world was going on. They saw CW was having success with Riverdale, so they signed on for The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina because it's the same guys producing it. And then they see what they've got, and they're like, holy... By the time it's too late to do anything about it, they're like, holy crap. Well, let's run with it. And sure enough, it's worked out for them. It's on, what, season 3 now?
Yes, it's actually already out. It's out. Came out like this weekend, I believe, on Netflix, which I have not watched yet because I was watching The Ranch.
Now, I have not watched it because, one, I don't subscribe to Netflix anymore. $15 a month is just way too much. You're not HBO. Okay, you're not that good. Although I think HBO has a couple of good shows coming up, but we'll talk about that some other time. I haven't watched, also, not really interested in watching it because I don't like gore. I don't like horror films. I'm not a big fan of the genre. But I can appreciate what they're doing. By tagging the Sabrina franchise, they can start bringing people and their expectations, and you can start playing with them.
Yeah.
Because it's a very special set of skills. You have to really be careful as a story writer, because it's easy to say, well, Archie's gay now. But it's another thing to bring Archie in and have him looking at guys and like, why am I feeling this way? Because people know Archie's already surrounded himself with 2 or 3 girls at a time. Why is he looking at guys? I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but
clueless.
But that's a clueless way of writing it, is where he's suddenly gay now, or he's bisexual, or he's trans, or something like that. Instead, start playing with the idea and putting it so that way people come in with their expectations, what they know about Archie, and you start turning their expectations on their heads. Okay, that's why I'm saying we make fun of GQ BLTs all the time. There's nothing wrong with telling a story about a trans person or a gay person, bisexual, lesbian, any of that. Okay?
As long as it's done right.
It has to be a good story.
Yes.
You can't, don't do it about Marty Stew, okay, or Marty Sue, okay. We don't want to hear about the perfect trans person. We don't care.
Yeah, we don't care what you are. Just tell a good story and stop slapping us in the face. Be like, I am what I am. What are you going to do about it? I can do this. I can do that. It's like, well,
here's the worst part.
You can already do that, but
what are you going to do about it? I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to do about it. I'm not going to give you a dime for telling the story. And that's exactly how you shut these people down. You stop paying attention. They are getting stronger and stronger and more shrill, and we need to do a podcast on that. They're getting stronger and stronger and more shrill. We saw that in the impeachment debate. And like I said, we'll get on that on the Chore of Duty podcast as soon as we finish recording this. It's a law of diminishing returns. I mean, you can do it, you can get away with it for a little while, but eventually people will recognize it for what it is. It's crap.
No.
And it's a sign of, again, a weak story, a weak case, a weak argument. Anyway, again, let's try wrapping this. What are your final words on, are you ever going to watch Star Trek Picard?
Yes, I will as soon as I'm able to.
Believe it or not, that's what this episode was about. So you're going to watch?
I am going to watch it. Again, I'm going to wait for the whole season to be done. Want to hear what they say about it. And if it does seem interesting and people seem interested in it, then I will either subscribe or wait until it comes out on DVD, because I'm pretty sure it will. The whole set will be on there.
No, that's the correct answer.
There's a lot of them.
That's the correct answer. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait until all the episodes of the first season are out, because I think they've already set up for second season. I'll wait until all the first season episodes are out, and then I'll subscribe for a month and see. Yeah. I'll sign up for a subscription, then turn around and cancel it, so that way I don't have to worry about getting charged when it's over.
Because I think, well, I don't know if it's them or Apple, but one of them has, like, they brought back Ghost Rider.
I think it's Apple. Apple Plus, TV Plus, or something. That's right. Apple TV Plus.
I'm not impressed until they bring back Wishbone.
It's coming. Anyway.
I'm for sure it will be.
So, till next time, I'm Spike.
I'm Chris.
That was Chris, and this is Wishbone. We'll see you next week on Geekin' Out. Take care, y'all.
See ya.